Welcome to this three-part video series where I'll be troubleshooting common reasons why ads aren't working. Over the course of this series, we're going to be covering three different areas. First is going to be ad creative, second is going to be campaign structure, and third is going to be conversion rate. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Jordan Hayes. I own a company that helps e-commerce brands scale their revenue past $500,000 per month with ad creative, campaign structure, and conversion rate. So let's get right into it. First things first, the ad creative. And before we dive into how we can make ad creative better, we first need to understand how your ad creative is currently performing. And the way that we do this is by looking at some metrics inside the ad platform. And for simplicity, we're just going to focus on Facebook in this video. And by having some North Star metrics that we can always look at, we can always go back to the same things and we can look at the data that's going to inform our decisions. So in Facebook, you need to be looking at the following metrics to see how well your creative is performing. First things first, CTR, or click-through rate. We like to look at the unique outbound CTR, and what CTR is from everyone who sees your ad, it's the percentage of people that are going to click on your ad, right? And as a general rule, a good CTR is above 1%. However, we have seen ads that have less than 1% CTR perform really well because they have a lower CPM or the landing page conversion rate is making up for the lower CTR, right? But we'll cover more about conversion rate in part 3 of this series. So CTR is the first thing you need to look at. The second thing is CPC, or cost per click. And we like to look at cost per unique outbound click specifically. And this is how much it's costing you to send one person to your landing page. And that's, your CPC is based on your CTR, right? So the higher your CTR, the lower your CPC will be. And in terms of what you should be aiming for with CPC, it really depends on which market you're advertising in. If you're advertising in a more expensive market like the USA, you're probably going to see CPC from $1.50 and up. In some cases it will be lower, but that's just a general average based on what we've seen. Now, if you're running images, right, so if you're using images for your ad creatives, just looking at these two metrics, CTR and CPC, that's going to tell you a lot, right? It's going to tell you a lot about how your ad creative is performing, how good it is. And if you're running videos, then you also want to take into account the following two metrics. First is hook rate, right? This is how good your video hook is at getting people to stop scrolling. And in order to see what this is, you'll need to create a custom metric in the Facebook Ads Manager in order to see this. It's actually very simple to do. You can just Google how to create custom metrics in the Facebook Ads Manager. And to create the custom metric, you'll need to do the calculation 3-second video plays divided by impressions and show that as a percentage, right? And you should be aiming for a video hook above 30%. So if we have a video hook above 30%, we know that if our ad creative is not performing, it's not a problem with the hook, right? We're getting people to stop scrolling. It's very good at doing that. The second thing you need to be looking at with your videos is the hold rate. And this is how good your video is at getting people to watch your video, right? So once you've got them to stop scrolling, now you need to hold their attention. And this is also a custom metric that you need to create in the Ads Manager. And in order to calculate this, you'll take video plays at 95% and divide that by 3-second video plays, and then show that as a percentage as well. And you should be aiming for a hold rate above 5%. So if your hook rate is above 30%, if your hold rate is near or above 5%, you know that you have a really strong video creative. If your CTR is low, then you probably need to have a stronger call to action, right? You need to be encouraging people to click to go to your landing page. And there could be other factors as well, like CPM, which is harder to have control over, but usually with a better ad creative, over time the CPM drops. Again, it also depends on the market, the time of year. So that's why I haven't included it here, because it's not something you can influence directly, but with these metrics you can influence them directly. Right? So now that we know what metrics we need to look at, we can look at our ad creative, we can see what is performing, and we can look at the ad creative that is not performing and see how the metrics on those two ads differ, right? So just comparing them in that way. And if you need to improve your CTR or CPC on your images, you should test different copy or headlines that will make more people click, right? That's really what's missing here. If you're not getting people to click, it's probably something about the copy on the image. It's probably the image itself, right? So you can try changing the image itself to one that is more intriguing, maybe one that is more like sparks a little bit more curiosity. And if you have a post-purchase survey, you can ask questions to understand why customers purchased your product and what they'll be using it for. Then you can use that information to inform what images and what copy you use for your ads. If you need to improve the hook rate of your videos, you need to improve the first 3 seconds of your ad. First, I would highly recommend creating user-generated content videos or actor-generated content videos if you haven't already, and test the following for your hooks. First of all, you can have the creator in the video saying different things. So they can do target audience callouts, and they can talk about the problem that they're facing or something intriguing that resonates with the target audience, right? So if your target audience is women who are above 40 years old, you can have someone in the video say, I'm 48 years old, I suffer from, anxiety and stress. Then that could be like a hook for the video that calls out your target audience if that's what they're struggling with as well. And then obviously, your product will be solving that problem for them. So you can introduce the product later in the video. Another thing you can do to improve the hook rate of your videos is changing the headline or the copy that is on the video in the first 3 seconds. So similar to images, try changing the copy for something that your target audience will resonate with even more. You can have your creator or actor saying one thing, but you can have copy that either reiterates the thing that they're saying or has something different that's calling out the target audience in a different way. Another thing you can do is use a peculiar or crazy clip. This is something that is going to stop the scroll, right? It could be someone setting a product on fire, a close-up of someone's face, flushing money down the toilet. It could be anything. You can really let your imagination run wild here. But yeah, that really stops the scroll. As long as it's somehow related to your product or you can relate it back to your product, it makes sense. And in your videos, you also want to make sure you have a strong call to action so that you keep your CTR high. So as I mentioned, if your hook rate is good, if your hold rate is good, but you're not getting a good CTR, it could be the call to action isn't strong enough, right? So you want to try different call to actions. You want to make sure you have different call to actions at different stages of the video, right? So rather than just having one at the end, you could have a few throughout, right? You can tell users what to do throughout the video. So test that and see if that helps improve your CTR. Improving the hold rate of the video really comes down to making sure you keep the viewer engaged. And some ways to do this are using something called the heartbeat method, where you change the clip someone is watching every 2-ish seconds to keep them engaged, right? So you can mix it up a little bit. You can have some clips that will show for 2 seconds, some that will show for 2.5, some that will show for 3. But the idea with this is to constantly be changing what the user is seeing. And what you can also do is use A-roll and B-roll, so the viewer has different things to look at rather than just a talking head. So the A-roll is usually the talking head. It's usually the person who's talking to the camera. And the B-roll is other footage that is showing, maybe it's putting into context what the person is saying, right? So if they're saying, this product has helped, improve my life for the better. I'm, going to the gym. And then the B-roll shows them in the gym working out. It's helped me, be able to spend more time with my children. It shows them playing with their children, right? So it's visualizing what the person in the video is saying, right? So it's providing a visual, but it's also providing the user something else to look at, and it's changing the clips to keep them engaged and keep them watching. Next is to use transitions between clips, right? So rather than just like changing, normally you can try different effects for different transitions to maybe like change things up and really like hold that attention. And then you can also use music that matches how you want your viewer to feel, right? So if you want your viewer to feel, let's say upbeat and inspired, then you should match music with that emotion, right? And lastly, you should use direct response principles in your ads, such as authority and intensification, to keep your viewer hooked. These are just things that are, innate desires that we have as human beings, and things that are going to allow us to, as humans, allow us to be persuaded to make a decision, right? Such as clicking an ad or such as purchasing a product. So I would definitely look into direct response principles a little bit more. In my private Facebook group that is free, I do go over these direct response principles a lot. So I'd recommend hopping into that group and just learning about those as well. You'll find a link to that group right below this video. So next is finding inspiration. So now that we know how to improve our ads, we know what metrics we need to be looking at, now is finding inspiration for creating new ads, right? The best place to find inspiration is the Facebook ad library. And what you can do in the Facebook ad library is you can search for any brand that is running ads on Facebook or Instagram and see what ads they're running. You can scroll down to the oldest ads. You can scroll down to the oldest ads to see what ads have been running the longest. And below this video, you'll find a link to a spreadsheet that is a collection of some of the best advertisers on Meta and the links to their ad libraries. And that's a really good place to start for inspiration. You can take inspiration from them and apply it to your business, product, and target audience. And another great way to find inspiration is the TikTok Top Performing Ads website. This is a collection of the top performing TikTok ads by industry. And I'll also leave a link to that website down below so you can check that out. So this is how we, first of all, identify what areas of ad creative need improving, and then how we go about improving each area. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to answer and help. And make sure you hit the notification bell to tune into part 2 of this series, where we'll be covering the campaign setup and structure, another really important lever to high performing ads. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.